White butterfly. It is said that Yang Yuaden was a scribe from Qiangzhou. Once, he accidentally returned home from another place and was sailing on the sea by boat when he encountered a hurricane. The boat was about to be overturned by the waves, and suddenly an empty boat came floating up. He jumped on it in a hurry, and when he looked back, he saw that all the people in the boat were drowned. The wind became more and more violent. He closed his eyes and let the wind blow the boat. After a while, the wind stopped. Yang Yuaden opened his eyes and suddenly saw an island with houses in it. He rowed close to the shore until he reached the village entrance. The village was silent. Yang Yuaden walked and sat for a while. For a long time, not even the cries of chickens and dogs were heard. Yang Yuaden saw a north-facing gate, shaded by pines and bamboos. It was early winter at this time, and the flowers inside the wall were full of buds. He liked this kind of flower very much and walked in slowly. Hearing the sound of playing the piano in the distance, he stopped for a moment. At this time, a maidservant came out. She was about 14 or 15 years old and very beautiful. When she saw Yang Yuaden, she turned around and entered the house again. Then, when the sound of the piano stopped, a young man came out and asked Yang Yuaden in surprise where he came from. Yang Yuaden told him in detail. He asked Yang Yuaden about his family affairs again, and Yang Yuaden told him again. The young man said happily, "We are in-laws." Then he politely invited Yang Yuaden to come into the yard. The houses in the courtyard are gorgeous, and the sound of the piano can be heard again. When I walked into the room, I saw a young woman sitting upright, tuning the strings of the piano. She was about 18 or 19 years old, and she was very beautiful. When the young woman saw the guest coming in, she pushed Kin away and wanted to avoid it. The young man stopped her and said, "You don't have to leave. This person is a relative of yours." He explained the reason for Yang Yuaden. The young woman said, "It turns out to be my nephew." Asked Yang Yuaden, "Is my grandmother still alive? How old are my parents?" Yang Yuaden said, "My parents are in their 40s and are fine. But my grandmother is already 60 years old and has a serious illness that cannot be cured after a long period of treatment. She can't even walk. Someone is helping me. My nephew really doesn't know which room my aunt is in. Please tell me clearly so that I can tell my family when I go back." The young woman said, "It's a long journey, and we have lost contact with your family for a long time. When you go back, just tell your father that Auntie sends her greetings to him, and he will naturally know." Yang Yuaden asked, "Which tribe is my uncle?" The young man said, "Hi, your surname is Yan. This island is called Shangshan Island, 3,000 miles away from Qiangzhou, and I haven't lived here long." Shi Niang went in and asked her maid to prepare wine and food to entertain the guests. The fresh dishes are delicious and I don't know what they are called. After dinner, Yan Sheng took Yang Yuaden around. On the first day of Yangyu, I saw peach blossoms and apricot blossoms in bud in the garden. It was very strange, Yan Sheng said. There is no scorching heat in summer, no severe cold in winter, and flowers bloom all year round. Yang Yuaden said happily, "What a fairyland! Go back and tell your parents that I will move here and be your neighbors." Yan Sheng just smiled. Returning to the study, he lit a candle and saw the harp lying on the table. Yang Yuaden asked to listen to the harp music played by Yan Sheng. Yan Sheng played the piano and tuned the strings. At this time, Shi Niang came out and Yan Sheng said, come on, play a song for your nephew." Shen Yang sat down and asked her nephew, "What music would you like to listen to?" Yang Yuaden said, "My nephew has never read King Kao, and I really can't tell you what music he would like to listen to." Shen Yang said, "As long as you ask a random question, the tune will come out." Yang Yuaden smiled and said, "The sea breeze guides the boat. Can you also compose a piece of music?" Shen Yang said, "Yes." So he plucked the strings and started playing. It's like a music score that has been written for a long time. The tone is exciting and exciting. Yang Yuaden understood it quietly, as if he was still on the boat, tossed about by the hurricane. Yang Yuaden was so amazed that he asked, "Can I learn it?" Shen Yang gave him the piano and asked him to try to pluck the strings, saying, "I can teach you. What tune do you want to learn?" Yang Yuaden said, the hurricane exercise I just played. How many days will it take to learn it? Please write down the music first. I can read it well. Xinyang said. This piece has no words. I composed it according to my own ideas. He took another piano, made ticking movements, and asked Yang Yuaden to follow suit. Practice on Yang Yudan until after the watch. After the syllables were roughly in harmony, Yansheng and his wife said goodbye and laughed. Yang Yuaden concentrated on playing the music by himself in front of the candle. As time passed, he realized the mystery and couldn't help but dance for joy. When he looked up, he suddenly saw a maid standing under the lamp. Yang Yuaden was surprised and said, "You haven't left yet?" The maid smiled and said, "Tengu ordered me to close the door and remove the lamp after you fall asleep." Yang Yuaden looked at the maid carefully and saw that her eyes were bright, and her posture was charming, and her heart skipped a beat. Teasing her slightly, the maid just lowered her head and smiled. Yang Yuaden was even more confused, and stood up suddenly and hugged her neck. The maid said urgently, "Don't be like this. It's already the 4th watch of the night, and the master is getting up. If we are willing, tomorrow night will not be too late." While teasing and hugging, she heard Yansheng calling, "Pink butterfly." The maid's face changed and she said, "It's broken," and hurriedly ran out. Yang Yuaden secretly followed and listened, only to hear Yansheng say, "I originally said that this servant girl's fate is still alive, and you must take her in." "What now? She should be whipped 300 times, Xinyang said. "This girl has this kind of mentality and can't be used anymore. It's better to just leave it to my nephew." Yang Yuaden felt ashamed and scared after hearing this, so he returned to his study, turned off the light and fell asleep. After dawn, a boy came to help him wash up, but he didn't see the white butterfly again. Yang Yuaden felt uneasy, fearing that he would be condemned and driven away. After a while, Yansheng and Shigu came out together. They didn't seem to take that matter to heart, so they just tested his piano skills. After Yang Yuaden played a piece of music, Xinyang said, "Although I haven't reached the state of perfection yet, I've probably learned it. Once you practice it, you can reach the state of miraculousness." Yang Yuaden asked to be taught other songs. Yansheng taught him the song "The Goddess is Banished." This piece of music is very difficult to finger. Yang Yuaden practiced it for 3 days and could only get the tune right. Yansheng said, "I have already learned a rough idea. All I need to do is get familiar with it. As long as you practice these 2 pieces of music, there will be no more difficult tunes to play." Yang Yuaden felt homesick and told Xinyang, "I live here and I am raised by my aunt. I am very happy, but I am just worried about the worries of my family. This is 3,000 miles away from home. I don't know when I can return home." Xinyang said, "It's not difficult. The boat you originally took is still there, and I will help you sail. My nephew has not got married, so I have let Pinky go first." He also presented him with a harp and gave him some medicine and said, "Go back and treat your grandmother. This medicine can not only cure the disease, but also prolong life." After saying that, he sent Yang Yuaden to the coast and asked him to get on the boat. Yang Yuaden looked for the boat oar, and Xinyang said, "We don't need this thing." After saying that, he took off his skirt and used it as a sail, which he tied to the boat. Yang Yuaden was worried that he would get lost, and Xinyang said, "Don't worry, just let the sail drift." After tying the sail, we boarded the boat on Yang Yuaden, feeling sad. Just as we were about to say goodbye, a south wind suddenly blew, and we were already far away from the shore. Yang Yuaden saw that dry food had been prepared on the ship, but it was only enough for 1 day. She complained in her heart that Xinyang was stingy. "I was hungry, but I didn't dare to eat more for fear of eating it all at once, so I only ate 1 piece of hu pancake. I felt that the hu pancake was sweet and fragrant inside and outside." Yang Yuaden carefully saved the remaining 6 or 7 pieces, and he didn't feel hungry anymore. The sun is going down. Yang Yuaden was regretting that he didn't ask for a candle when he came. Suddenly, he saw people in the distance. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be Qiangzhou. Yang Yuaden was very happy and arrived at the shore in a short while. He took off his skirt, wrapped the biscuits, and went home. After entering the door, the whole family was surprised to find that it had been 16 years since young Yuaden left home. Only then did young Yuaden know that he had met a god. Seeing that his grandmother was seriously ill, young Yuaden took out the medicine and let her take it. And the serious illness for many years was cured immediately. The family members all asked him strangely, and young Yuaden told him everything he had seen. Grandma said sadly, "That's your aunt." Back then, the old lady had a little daughter named Shenyang, who was born with an immortal beauty and was betrothed to the Yan family. When the son-in-law was 16, he went into the mountains and did not come back. When Shenyang was in her 20s, she suddenly recovered from illness and died. She had been buried for more than 30 years. After listening to Yang Yudan's words, everyone suspected that Shenyang was not dead. Young Yuaden took out the skirt, which was exactly the one Shenyang wore at home. On the first day of Yangyu, he distributed cakes to his family members. After eating only one piece, he was not hungry all day long and felt more energetic. The old lady ordered someone to open Shenyang's coffin for inspection, and it turned out that it was just an empty coffin. Young Yuaden initially hired the daughter of the Wu family. Because he had not come back after being away for several years, the daughter of the Wu family married someone else. Everyone believed Shenyang's words and waited for Pink Butterfly to arrive. After more than a year with no news, we discussed another marriage. Jin Shukai from Linyi had a daughter named Hasheng. People far and wide knew that she was beautiful and she was 16 years old. Before she got married, 3 unmarried son-in-law died. The young family asked a matchmaker to arrange a marriage with the Jin family and chose a good day to get married. After getting married, she turned out to be very gorgeous and beautiful. Young Yuaden took a closer look and found that it was a white butterfly. Surprised, Jin Nu asked her about her past, but Jin Nu was at a loss. It turns out that the day when the white butterflies were driven away, it was the time when Jin Nu was born. Every time young Yuaden played the goddess banished for her, Jin Nu always put her chin on her hands and meditated, as if she had some understanding.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.